Recording in progress.
Welcome to Wellness Wednesday, another episode of Wellness Wednesday. We are so excited every week to bring you different topics, health topics, bring different health experts to the table. And tonight you are in for a real treat. So before we get started, let me introduce myself. My name is Marilee Marisich. I have been a wellness warrior for now about 16 years. And what brought me to that space was my own health crisis, where I all of a sudden realized the importance of being our own best advocate. And I also learned that health really starts at a cellular level. And so since that point in time and helping my own body restore, I've just learned a wealth of information. And of course, along the way, come across some incredible tools to help our bodies be its very, very best. And so we love this platform, Wellness Wednesday, where we really bring in health experts that are in the field that are absolutely sharing and knowing some great tools and techniques. And on Wellness Wednesday, we normally just talk about different health topics, but tonight we wanted to do something a little bit different. If you followed us on Wellness Wednesday, we talk about a lot of different health topics and how activation and activating products can really be an extraordinary aid and help to some of those issues. But I thought it would be really interesting tonight to bring on one of my absolute favorite guests and favorite humans to talk about the evolution of activation. And I'm going to really kind of start it by just sharing a little bit about my own story and kind of how that came to be. It was about 8.5 years ago that a friend of mine reached out and said, I want to show you this ABC Primetime Report. I found something that I think is going to blow your mind. And so I'm like, okay, well, send me the link. And I sat and I watched this ABC Primetime Report about a product called Protandim NRF2. And my jaw was on the floor. I told you now I've been in the space of health and wellness for 16 years, but I had never heard of this product and I'd never heard the concept of activation. My mind was blown. And I literally said to myself, if half of what they're saying here is true, I want to be a part of this, because I literally knew so many people in my world that could benefit from it. And you might be joining us tonight and have also had some experience with some of these products we're going to talk about tonight. And you'll know, you know already how extraordinary they are. But even in my own journey, when I started 8.5 years ago, the only activator supplement really that was here was Protandim NRF2. And when I say here, I mean with LifeVantage. And it's been an incredible journey as they have started to increase the line of activators. And I got to experience just really some mind-blowing results. I saw the science behind it, and I didn't say, oh my goodness, I have all these major health needs that I need to address. I literally said to myself, that is prevention, and I want a part of that. So I knew the science was real, and it was important to have in my body no matter what. Little did I know or pay attention to the fact I had literally a lifetime of, you know, the kind of headaches where you have to put sunglasses on and close the shades and, you know, that kind that I'm talking about. They literally run in my family. And I was at the stage of working with somebody at the Mayo Clinic who said, this is just something that runs in your family. We went through cycles of medication, but nothing worked. 2 weeks on that first activator, they stopped. I am literally over eight and a half years now of being free of that. And I am so thrilled. After that, I started noticing, wow, my shoulder injury from snowboard accident, no more. The knee injury inflammation that we couldn't get down with all of the ibuprofen and all the things, right? Wasn't working anymore. Now, all of a sudden, a few months later, I am feeling absolutely like a brand new person. And that's where it began. But as we started layering and they started introducing more and more activators, I felt better. I felt brighter, brain fog gone, crystal clarity, focus, like all of these things. I'm realizing, wow, the evolution of activation and activators and how they synergistically work together, it's so powerful, you guys. We want to bring that topic here tonight. So all of that to tell you, we're going to discuss the evolution of activation with literally one of the most brilliant minds. And so we are joined tonight by Dr. Nancy Bryan. And you guys, I don't want to miss, there's so much I could tell you about her, but I jotted down a note because I just don't want to miss this. There's so much about her. First of all, I love her. I adore her. She is one of the most brilliant heart and soul people that I know. First and foremost, just one of the most amazing humans. But literally, she's just a dear friend. So Dr. Nancy Bryan is a brilliant biochemist who holds multiple initials and titles behind her name. She has extensive experience in this field. As a 14-year breast cancer and melanoma warrior, she personally understands the value of how beneficial activation is to our health and to our bodies. She's also an amazing mom, a grandma, and just one of those amazing people. So, Dr. Nancy, it is an honor to have you here tonight as we discuss the evolution of activation. And before we get started, can you tell, if people aren't familiar with you yet, maybe just tell a little bit more about your story and how you first kind of came across activation?
Absolutely. So first, just to give you my background, because it's important. Yes, there's lots of letters, but the important part of it was that when I was in second grade and my friends wanted Barbie dolls, I was asking for a chemistry set to blow up things in the laundry room. So these are things that came to me early in my life. I don't know why, but when everyone else likes to watch all the fun real reality shows and all that, I'm sitting researching and looking into more and more new things. And so it's just my passion and my love. And I was blessed. I have started with a Master's of Science in Molecular Biochemistry, because that was my main purpose, my main passion, digging into the cell right from the start. That was way long time ago, long before the word activation ever hit the press, if you will. But from there, I ended up going to pharmacy school and also got my PhD in pharmacology. And my first job was working for a pharmaceutical company. I was one of the first female sales reps for Eli Lilly and Company in Indianapolis. And I'm so grateful that I had the chance to be in that job, because it taught me so much. One of the biggest things that it taught me was that there is a place for medications at certain times. But what it also showed me was how over time it was becoming the only thing they taught in medical school. It was the only thing that people weren't given other options, or really looking at the true wellness industry instead of the sickness industry. And so that was what initially got me started. When I worked for Eli Lilly, one of the first people that I came into contact with and had a ton of things that most people don't know about Eli Lilly in the past, they were a huge vitamin company. That was one of their sources. And so I got to hang out with a bunch of people that were understudies of Linus Pauling and had a lot of work to do with vitamin C and antioxidants. So early on, I knew about antioxidants. And that's really important, because I want you to understand that as we're talking about activation, it has been really, truly just in the last 10, 15 years where that concept has really taken hold. And it's really new science. And that's really important to know. I know that many of you are familiar, but some may not, of the work that Dr. McCord did. And when early on, I knew about Dr. McCord because he was the father of free radical biology. What the heck is that, right? Well, you'll hear us talk about oxidative stress and lots of chemistry words, but the bottom line is, when you have a cell, it has mitochondria that do the work, take food and oxygen and make energy, okay? That helps the cell do whatever its function is. But it has a byproduct like a car burning gas. And when it does, that's an oxygen that's uncoupled now. That's a free radical. It's an oxygen bouncing around in the cell. That process activates our NRF2 pathway. And the NRF2 pathway neutralizes that free radical. That's what that really means, okay? And Dr. McCord was the guy that discovered what our body did inside. Superoxide dismutase, catalase, and glutathione were present on the inside. And so the secrets that he was discovering, and kind of the godfather, if you will, of how us becoming familiar with our NRF2 concept, was the fact that he did all the work to find what that free radical was, and he discovered superoxide dismutase. So he did us a great, great service. And in so doing, you know what, that's helped us move toward where we are today.
Really incredible. Really incredible. And I know that, we say on Wellness Wednesday, in order to get well, fix the cell. In order to age well, fix the cell. In order to stay well, be well, address and maintain and care for the cell. And so it really is where health is at, really at the core of the matter. So I love this little history lesson, and I want to just tell you, if you're watching and you've not yet seen that ABC Primetime Report, I encourage you to get back to the person that invited you to this. Make sure you watch it. It's very, very interesting to see. But Nancy, so I don't know if you want to talk more about Nerve 2 and Dr. Jill McCord, but literally...
One thing I forgot to mention, you had asked me and I did my typical not answer the question. What brought me to take a look at this, and this is very important for all of you. I was very, very sick. I have a very bad gene in my family. I won't go into all the details of it, but I had lost a sister to leukemia, my uncle, 6 of my cousins, and I had put myself in a very stressful situation in my life, and as a result of it, ended up with breast cancer, a very severe form of breast cancer. And so early on, the doctors, when they took a look at what was going on with me, did not give me a lot of hope. They told me I was going to have to do some very extreme measures, which I did. I survived, but I wasn't living. I literally was in a wheelchair because I was so weakened from the chemotherapy and from all the therapies. And I'll be honest with you, life was not fun. I was not living my life to the fullest. And I know people look at me today and go, oh, there's no way. But people that knew me then, when they see me now, they're like, holy cow, what the heck happened? And it's really important because we can't say we treat, mitigate, prevent, or cure anything. But I can tell you what, God has given our bodies the ability to turn on proper genes. And that's really, truly the crux of what we do. And it's called nutrigenomics, taking tiny amounts of nutrients. And that was really the impetus that started. But the important thing I want to tell you is a surfer, not a doctor, not a health practitioner, not a biochemist, a surfer, okay? He was a really good surfer, world-class surfer told me about this because he had gotten melanomas. I had melanomas as a byproduct of my chemo, and we were both in a world of hurt, and he saw one of the studies, the LSU study that we have. And when he showed me that study, I lost my mind because when you go take a look at that study, please take the time to go look it up. Okay, I don't like to delve deep into the science, but I'll tell you, when you take a look at what that study did and what it said, the very first thing out of my head was, oh my gosh, I got to go look up this company and see who these people are. And more importantly, if they're saying this product, when they had a bunch of rats and they were painting this on them to take care of the melanoma that was going on in them, I just couldn't believe it. And I literally started calling and asking all kinds of questions. I'll be careful what you wish for. That's how I ended up on the science board. I asked a lot of questions. But you know what? The thing that I want to get across is that when I saw what they were doing, and you and I talked about this a little bit, about the difference between supplementation and activation. I was already on everything known to man for antioxidants. I literally was the healthiest person I knew when I got breast cancer. But it wasn't keeping the genes from being affected and flipping so that the bad genes turned on. So that's the key here, is we're utilizing pathways, the NRF2 pathway, and then we've gone on from there to other pathways now, being able to help our bodies. And in so doing, when we turn those pathways on, we're capable, again, of proper things happening. And that's what happened for me. My good genes came back on, so much so that my doctor, after he hadn't seen me in 3 months, they made me go back and get my blood work done again because they couldn't believe what they saw. Okay? Fast forward, he was the top hematology oncologist, and guess what? I didn't know this, but his wife had severe rheumatoid arthritis. Well, one of the things he saw was all of a sudden the rheumatoid factor in my blood was not there. That gene wasn't expressing. And so when he saw that, he asked me a bunch of questions, and I asked him if I had to pay for that appointment. But the bottom line is, he got his wife started on it, and it made a huge impact, not only for her in terms of inflammation and her being able to function better, but what ended up happening is he ended up retiring early and was not going to. And they travel all over the place talking about this now. And I just, this is a person from Harvard. He was from South Africa, very educated man. And that's the thing we need to know and understand. Supplementation is great. It's what our food sources do. It's what you can take some extra stuff on the outside, but it's not until you take something that can actually activate our own genes to have the good genes turn back on.
Amazing. Amazing. Nancy, when you started here, I'm curious, when you started here, how many peer-reviewed studies were on the Protandim NRF2? I know about 8.5 years ago, there were 16.
I was going to say it was in the lower teens. I'm going to say 13, somewhere in that vicinity. And today we have over 30. You don't understand. Because I have so many people when they're talking to me, and they go, I take this, I take that, and all these other things they're taking. And the thing that they don't understand is I'll ask them, I said, that's great. I'd like to hear more about what you're doing. What studies do you have that are backing this up? Tell me the healthcare provider, what they're providing with you to take a peek at. Well, they have none. They do not have them. Now, what they'll show you a study on a ashwagandha or on a vitamin C. But here's where our quality controls come in. When we go get our raw ingredients, this is really important. When we go get our raw ingredients, we're going to the Himalayas, we're going all over the place. You can't just find these things just in your backyard. They're all over the planet, right? When we go get them, one of the things that we do is we test for the active components inside those raw ingredients. Nobody does that. They do not do that. Then we bring it back to the US to manufacture, and we test it again to make sure it still contains those active components. And then when we finish the product, we check again, and then we send it to outside sources for them to test. This is why, for the first time ever, the government gave us the right. The FDA approved us being able to say we reduced oxidative stress, that free radical, that oxygen that's bouncing around, by 40% in 30 days. And they let us state that because we proved it, A, but B, we also proved that when that pill comes out of our manufacturer, every single time it has that same activity. That's the thing you do not get in these other companies. You can go, because there's no regulation. You go to the health food store or wherever you're buying your things online, whatever, and you flip that bottle over and you see those ingredients, they may or may not even be in there. And they may not be in an active form. And you really, truly do not know what you're getting. And I think it's really important for you to understand our quality control portion of what we do and what separates us from other things. But the pure, true story is that we're activating those genes using tiny amounts, very purposely put together in a recipe. And that's what we've done with our NRF2, and that's what we turned around and did with our NRF1. And
let's talk about that. So the evolution of activation. So we started really with the NRF2, the Protandim NRF2 synergizer, and then we went where from there? Let's talk about that.
Well, because of Dr. McCord's research and knowing and understanding this gene production of this NRF2 pathway and being able to activate and literally finding out we could do that, then they're like, okay, well, what else is there? Well, when you're looking at the yin and the yang of the cell, back to the cell, molecular biochemistry, that mitochondria that's in there doing all that work, the only way we really knew you could increase that back in the day was through some really good nutrition and exercise. You have to exercise your muscle. That was the purpose of going and exercising your muscle. You will make more mitochondria. It literally causes what's called mitochondrial biogenesis. You'll make more mitochondria. That's the source of when your muscles get bigger, okay? It of course, enhances the tissues and all those things, but it's the mitochondria at the cell level. Well, we dug into that and found out, well, what pathway is it that has to do with mitochondrial health? That is our NRF1 pathway. The NRF1 pathway, very distinctively, is what helps the mitochondria be healthy, because they as we age, they get beat up so badly, okay? And B, make more mitochondria. And I will tell you, I told you I was in a wheelchair, right? When I first started taking the NRF1, I'm not kidding, my muscle definition started coming back. I had people go, wow, are you working out again? I was far from it. I was still trying to get out of the wheelchair. But I was starting to see, now I had muscle definition before. You need to know and understand that. I was an athlete, a very high level athlete. And so I was always very muscular. But I lost a lot of that when I was going through all of that illness. And so when the mitochondria, that NRF1, came into my body, it activated my own body again through this NRF1 pathway. That's why our product isn't Protandim NRF1, it's Protandim NRF1 Synergizer. It makes the NRF1 come on. Same with NRF2, they are synergizers, synergistically blended. That means that it's more than just additive of those things. It's multiple. There, as I said, with the NRF2, 1,800 times more powerful when they're blended together than each of those components by themselves. And as a result of it, that's how the NRF2 got that 40% in 30 days. And I think it's something like 70 or 80 over a 90-day period. That's just unprecedented in terms of what we do with our bodies. And that equates to things like inflammation, good gene control, and in the end, healthy longevity.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Oh my goodness. Well, and then it evolved into NAD.
And we went to NAD.
Yeah.
Right. And the NAD, what I love about the NAD is almost like the turbo in an engine. That we know that healthy longevity is linked to something called sirtuins. These are proteins that are occurring inside of our cells and keeping things operating squeaky clean and really well, okay? It's optimizing how things are going to work. So I think of it as it enhances the NRF2 activation, it enhances the NRF1 activation, and goodness knows what pathways we don't even know about yet. So that's the key more than anything, is those are the things that in combination, synergistically, while the 5 ingredients in NRF2 and the 5 ingredients in NRF1 and the 4 ingredients in NAD each work synergistically, when they all get together, it's a whole nother show. And that's, I tell people that's my superpower.
It's my superpower too. And sometimes people will ask me, I know that, as a baseline, everybody starts with like NRF2 as just a baseline. But I'll literally let them know, like, if you want that good, better, best, how good do you want to feel? Like, let's use the synergy of the 3 together, or at least that NRF1, NRF2. Like, it's just extraordinary. And that's what I witnessed. So I took the NRF2 for several years because it's all we had. Then came the NRF1, and I added that in. My goodness, that mitochondria factor was huge for me. I literally was sleeping deeper. I had so much more energy. The brain fog was almost non-existent. And then when the NAD came on board, oh my goodness, it was like, you said it, the turbo in the engine, that's what it felt like. And that is an absolute go-to for me daily. And just because when you know better, you do better. And
yeah, it's not only energy for our body, but our mind.
Yes.
And it really gives so much better focus. And I mean, I think about this when I go out and I'm speaking and I'm doing all the crazy things I'm doing. I'm getting ready to do a video for corporate on Friday and putting together slides. And I try to remind people, you know what, when I went to pharmacy school, I hate to age myself here, but I couldn't use a calculator in my pharmacy boards because not everyone had one.
Wow.
Back then, yeah, a Texas Instrument calculator was like $600 or something absolutely ridiculous, and that was a lot of money back then. And you know what? Where we've come is just there's no way I could have gotten there without the activation of my brain, and that's what I love. And then throw in the Axio. You know what? We've taken the NRF2 and we've blended that specifically so it can actually activate in our brain. And oh my gosh, the things that we've seen that for every day for everyone is great. But oh my gosh, my really getting involved in this company and becoming part of the company rather than just taking the products had to do with the NRF2 and the Axio when my dear friend's daughter with autism was struggling so badly. And we didn't know what to do. And I just really, it came out of my mouth. I don't even know how. I said, I'm coming over. And I ran over with a couple of bottles. And I said, I don't know if this will help or not. But the poor kid was in a straitjacket and putting all kinds of meds on her. And it was not a pretty picture. And I'm telling you, in a very short period of time, it changed her life. And this was a girl that had been autistic since birth, and she was probably in her late teens at this time. Today, I'm happy to tell you that through activation, she now grows a greenhouse with her mom and does canning, and their family situation is a different place today. And those are the things that we forget when we're afraid to talk to people about activation. Try not to think of it and so much of them saying no to you. This is just information they've not heard before, and it may be intimidating to them or whatever, but don't give up. Don't forget to just now and then bring it up again, because it might not be their 12 o'clock right now, but when it becomes their 12 o'clock, you want them to know that there's hope. I mean, that's what you'll see. This is how much you think you affect. Look at my granddaughter. She made me these beads, my little hope bracelet. and that's what we are. We are ambassadors of hope for people to know that there's something else out there. And yes, these are tools. It also does take things like, exercise and it's physical, emotional, spiritual for overall health. Yes. But I don't know tools that are more activating to the body to bring back our good gene expression. And we have more and more studies showing that.
It is so true. I say it all the time, but if I could download my brain and all the stories that I've seen, I've witnessed, I've experienced, it would blow your mind. And I know you feel that way. We talk about these things. It's a goosebumper almost daily for me. But Dr. Nancy, let me ask you this. So what additional things are important to optimize activation and cell function? Let's talk about
you'll love this. Tools. Okay, so just recently I was a very integral part of formulating our Rise AM Reset PM D3. And of course I got a lot of people yelling at me because they're like, oh my gosh, more pills to take, right? But let me explain why. When we have our NRF2 pathway and our NRF1 pathway and the NAD pathways, we have to have those ingredients actually optimizing the best they can going into our body to do this. That requires that we have micronutrients that help turn on the ability for the body to carry these things across. When we think of taking in food and it just kind of seeps through our gut, and in some people that does. It's called leaky gut, and we don't want that, okay? What really is supposed to happen, you got to have a healthy gut lining. You have to have good probiotics that are the little guys that are going to carry that across. That's why we put one out. It's the only probiotic I'm currently aware of that actually gets 70 or 80% into your gut. Everything else is about 4%. So there's a real scientific delivery system behind our probiotic. But it's important for you to know that part, because along with that, the micronutrients, the zinc and the selenium and the chromium and all those kinds of things are the tiny micronutrients. Yes, we should be getting them out of the garden. Yes, we should be getting them off the trees. Yes, it should be coming in the forms of food, but it doesn't always. We know how hard it is to get those things in. And so what we did was put together a product that is by our circadian rhythm. In the morning, we want to lift ourselves up, wake up, and utilize that NRF2 and NRF1 and NAD pathways to their best ability by having that AM reset. That's going to give you the micronutrients that are required to help do that. The D3 is separate from that, but it works together. And our D3 is very specific. We put it together with K2, which is really important for it. So many times calcium supplements and D3 supplements, they're not specific enough for our bodies and broken down enough. And so what happens is we'll actually get things like calcium deposits in wrong places, and we'll get calcium not utilized properly. And so we wanted to be sure that your body was going to utilize those things along with the NRF1 and NRF2 and NAD. So the AM are those micronutrients that help carry all of those things across into our bodies. And then that signals the D3, which is really a hormone, to start doing a lot of components that dictate where things go. Okay, so your calcium is going and staying in your bones where it's needed, but if it's needed in some blood vessels, it's going to go to the right places, not as a sticky, gooey substance that messes up our blood vessels, but as something that helps with the structure of our heart and our muscles and our brain. And so those things were put together very carefully, and then the Reset PM are the things you need at nighttime to help you utilize all the nutrients that you're eating during the day and in the evening, and utilizing them as building blocks when you're sleeping. During that circadian rhythm is a time when you're going to get all of those things doing the repair work that you need to be done. And so a lot of care was taken when we put those products together so that people can understand it's not like taking a typical calcium supplement. It's actually helping your own bones to do the work they're meant to do. And I'm so thrilled that I was able to take my knowledge base from that I've been very passionate about from a company a long time ago before LifeVantage, and be able to utilize those information and bring that to the company. And you know what? I'm super, super excited for where we are, because it's such an important detail for us to have overall health. And so I'm really thrilled to be part of that package. And I think some of the things that are difficult for people is it seems like a lot of different things. I tell people, just start simple, start where it's the easiest for you, you know, because they're all going to have some value for you, but each of us have different needs based on our genes, based on what we've been doing to ourselves in the past. But nothing replaces activation of that NRF2 pathway, the NRF1 pathway, and getting the superoxide dismutase properly balanced in our body. And that's what I'm so happy that we are capable of doing with our products. So,
well, I am thrilled, Nancy, that you and thank you on behalf of every one of us for bringing that to us and being an integral part behind the scenes. And I know I shared this with you when we talked on the phone the other day. So my evolution of activation and the supporting pieces, when I added in that, so I just will say it here, I just turned 55, fully in menopause, and wow, I'll just tell you, if you've never experienced menopause, it changes things. I was not able to sleep well. All of a sudden, my circadian rhythm was all over the board. So in walks this incredible product. And so taking the AM, PM, literally, I take it literally about an hour before bed, because it absolutely drops me into that deep REM sleep. I wake up fully refreshed. In the morning, I take the AM and I feel fully alive, fully awake. And I know I'm getting that rest and repair like our bodies need. And then the activation that's happening inside is absolutely extraordinary. But Dr. Nancy, can you talk a minute about, because you literally had me in goosebumps. We were talking about this combination right here. So the collagen and the NRF2. I know you literally had tears when you heard about the study. Can you talk about that?
I did. When they first released the study to us, the science board, there were several of us that literally were in tears. And the reason is because when you take a look at our study, and I mean, this is how nerdy I am. Remember I told you about the chemistry set? I run around with this all the time. This is page 3. if you go to our website, to the Healthy Stack, the Healthy Glow Stack with the NRF2 and the collagen, there's a product information at the bottom of that, of where you see the picture. Scroll all the way down, you'll see product information, and then you'll see study. All right? When they did this study, so page 3 of that product information,
Uh-oh, I know you guys see she's frozen. I do too. Let me just see if she had a connection issue. Just a second. She was blown away by the study. That's right, Stephen. Oh my goodness. That study is incredible. Oh my goodness. You're right. This is so good. We can't lose her. We'll get her back. Hold on just a sec. I think she had to hop off and we'll jump back in. But are you guys loving this information so far? I mean, how many aha moments? I know. Oh, Dr. Nancy is just brilliant. Absolutely love her. There is a link to the study. So on the website, if you go to lifevantage.com, you will literally look for Healthy Glow Stack, which is our liquid activated collagen, and our Proteanum NRF2 combination. And as they were launching that study, it's all in there. You'll literally be able to print the PDF off from that study. It is absolutely amazing. Thank you, Jennifer, for posting. That is great. That is great. Let me just hoping to grab her back here because I don't want to lose her either. Hang in there, guys. Such good information. And we are close to the end of this. I want her to be able to reveal what they saw in that study. Just mind-blowing. In some of our past Wellness Wednesdays, we've actually interviewed some of the body workers, so massage therapists, physical therapists, literally chiropractics, just all kinds of people that work with the body. And we've talked about what a difference it's like to work with somebody like a massage therapist shared. That,
okay, I'm back.
Oh, good. I was entertaining the crowd.
Sorry, my Wi-Fi went down.
No worries. You're here. And Nancy, I was just telling people, some of the body workers that we've had on here, massage therapists, physical therapists, chiropractors, sharing what a difference they have seen in the bodies of their patients when they've added that Healthy Glow Stack. So,
yes. I just want to bring up one thing because this is so important. Why we were crying. We were crying because never in the history of medicine, nutrients, studies of any shape or form, has there ever been a study that demonstrated an immune system being brought back to its original form. Okay? And I'm not going to go into all the heavy science of this, but think about what's going on today in our world is autoimmune diseases are everywhere. Why? It's because we're born with an innate immune system. That's the genes that grandma gave you. Okay, that's what you got. But we also have what's an adaptive immune system so that, when you get the measles, now you don't get them again because now your body remembers it had them. That's your adaptive immune system. It adapts to the things that it sees and then helps protect the genes. Well, what's happened is because of 5G and Wi-Fi and pesticides and all the different things going on, our immune system is perpetually being screamed at and is perpetually trying to fix itself. When you take the NRF2 and the collagen, why we're seeing so many different things is for the first time that immune system is getting a little bit of a break. It's going just for enough of a minute that it can start responding again properly and not having so many genes affected and going on and on. And we have the gene studies. We were seeing such crazy results. That's why they went and did the gene studies. And it's thousands of genes that are being affected. And we were crying because I can't think of anything that's more profound in helping your body for healthy longevity than the aspect of having your immune system quiet down a little, not shut off. That's the problem with anti-inflammatory drugs and prednisone and all those. They shut it off and then everything runs rampant. This is the ability for your body to turn off and on. And just like the NRF2 in a pulsatile fashion, it's going off and on and off and on. That's how we heal. That's how our bodies can respond and operate better, which is why we are seeing incredible things happen with those two combinations.
Well, proof is in. The stories, proof is in. Nancy, I'm just going to say it here. When I saw the pictures, the before and after pictures of your legs, maybe I shouldn't say that here, but oh my goodness, you guys.
I did not want to turn those in. I'm not going to lie. When they gave us all the stuff and this happened, they told us take pictures everywhere. And I got them. I'm like, oh my Lord. Because it was such a bother to me. I'd lost a ton of weight rapidly during COVID, being, in the place that I was. And you know what? It was astounding to me to see that happen. And you just have to understand collagen it's the glue, and it's it's what holds everything together. Our brain is 80% collagen, our eyes. Collagen is required for so many things. And to have one activate our own collagen to be made, more importantly, okay, yes, we have 10 forms of proteins in there, so we're getting kinds in there that nobody else is offering. But the third component to me is the biggest. We're maintaining it because we are quieting down the genes that make the enzymes that break it down. And that to me is the ultimate in nutrigenomics, is operating the genes to go back to the way they're supposed to. And I think it's the true key to why we're seeing so many immune systems start operating more properly again.
Absolutely. Mind-blowing. And for the evolution of activation, we have more to come. So please pay attention. We haven't even touched on it. We won't go into it, but we have an activated hair care line. We have an activated skin care line. Guys, there's so much goodness here. But I want to wrap this up by asking you, because I just like to ask everybody that I interview on here, what are your must-haves? You are in the know like anybody's in the know, like more than anybody's in the know. What are your absolute must-have activators?
I, at this point in time, knowing what I know now from that new study, absolutely just cannot state how important that NRF2 and collagen are. Of course, NRF1 is right up there with that NRF2 because we're talking about that cell health for every cell in your body. But what the collagen is doing along with that NRF2 is just mind-blowing to me. So I tell people, yes, I know it is expensive. I know it's a lot for people to afford. Help them to see the study, help them to see the pictures, and help them to share with a few people so that they can afford it, because I guarantee you it's going to change so much in their life. So for me, it's NRF2, collagen, NRF1. I will tell you this, I didn't talk about it at all. Our omegas are incredibly important. This is cold fish, and people are like, oh, I take it from blah, 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 whatever. Here's what I will tell you. Most omegas on the market are from farmed fish. Farmed fish are fed corn. The reason cold water fish are so valuable to our bodies, giving us the things we need for our muscles to work and to surround ourselves for protection, is because they eat kelp in the bottom of the ocean. And it's what they're eating that's in their tissue that when we're getting that oil out, that's the part of it that's so healing for our body. And so I would be remiss if I didn't mention the omegas. And then, you know what, then it kind of goes from there. Of course, the micronutrients are great. I love those because they're going to give our bodies back the ability to utilize the NRF1, NRF2, and NAD. And, Axio is just my go-to. At any given time of the day, it's in this cup. So those are the things, daily wellness, all those things are meant to help enhance our bodies. But the true activation, every one of our products have a form of activation in them to help you operate to your finest. But you've got to start somewhere. And for me, and a lot of times even I'll tell people go Vitality Stack collagen, then add in the NAD. If they can do the Vitality Stack with collagen, I really love that.
I love it. Oh my goodness. This has been such an important conversation to have with such a brilliant NRF1, NAD, how they synergistically work together. We've talked about the study, the activation study between the collagen and the NRF2. We've talked about the AM, PM, and the D3 and how those micronutrients and the omegas support that activation piece of it. So I love that. We've addressed this evolution of activation, and we promise, guys, there is more to come. Stay tuned to what we're doing here in this activation company. It's about to get even more exciting. So
there's some really good things happening, I can tell you that.
Absolutely. So I'm going to hand it to you, Nancy, for any final thoughts on tonight's topic.
The biggest thing is, I love what Carrie Dickey has said. You know what? Take it, feel it, share it. Okay? And have fun. You know what? What does she say? Have fun, make money, make a difference. Those are the things let's just keep it simple. Don't get caught up. I will tell you the last thing, they are having each of us on the science board doing particular products. And we're going to have some short YouTube videos out for people. And the whole concept is that's for those people that you've got, that one thing you want to tell them about, get them started where they are. Yes, I love NRF2 and collagen, but you know what? If they've got a sick dog, don't hesitate to talk to them about what it's going to do for the dog. Okay? I can't tell you how many people I have because I got their dog started. Okay? I know that sounds crazy, but the truth is, meet them where they're at. And even there is no human on the planet that won't have a positive effect from our NRF2. There's no one that shouldn't at least be on that. And I hope those are words that can help you.
Oh, beautifully said. I've loved this topic and I've loved this time tonight. Dr. Nancy Bryan, thank you for your knowledge, your time, your love, your care, all you poured into us tonight and all you poured into this beautiful company and this product line. We are forever grateful. And to everybody that's joined us tonight, thank you for your time. And I promise next week and every Wednesday after, we'll continue bringing you incredible health topics around activation. And it's been an honor to be here with you tonight. Please get back to the person that invited you to this if you have any questions. And with that, God bless everybody. Have an amazing night. Thank you again, Dr. Nancy.
Thank you.
Good night.